So today, I'm starting a series, maybe? I'm just gonna call it Organizational Tips from the Queen of Chaos. And this is part one. Hello, friend and fellow adventurer. Welcome back to the channel. I am so glad to see you again. My name is Kayla. I am a multi-passionate creative who is doing all the things sans hustle. I'm living this out in front of you. That way, my journey will hopefully inspire yours. The last few weeks have been a whirlwind adventure for me. I was in Denver visiting friends. I went to Comic-Con last weekend. I've honestly been struggling to get into a rhythm, especially here on YouTube. I'm getting better at it. I am getting better at it, but I still haven't locked in what schedule / rhythm will work for me. So thanks for sticking around. I really appreciate it. We do have some new people around here, and thank you. Thank you for the subscribe, for the follow, for all your comments and all of your questions, because I hope these videos are helpful for you. I hope that they are encouraging for you. I hope they bring light to your creative journey, because it should be fun. It should be fun. It's going to be messy, but it should be fun. Speaking of questions that I found in the comments, this is inspired by a comment that I got from Alan and a few other people in various locations whenever I post about organization or time management or structure, specifically for creatives, is how do you actually manage your ideas? How do you actually organize your ideas? So today I will tell you what I do. Hopefully it's helpful. This is just my personal rhythm, my personal system. Feel free to take it, leave it, or retrofit it, however you need to. The first place we have to start is by valuing your ideas enough to write them down. Now, maybe you are good at writing them down or capturing your ideas. Some people seem to have an easier time with this than others. I will say I didn't used to be so good at writing down or capturing my ideas. I just thought, I'll remember these. Famous last words. If you are like me and you struggle to capture and or gather your ideas, let's start here. Your ideas matter. Your ideas matter. And how many times have you had a phenomenal idea? And of course, these come at the most inconvenient times. This could be while you're driving, while you're in the shower, in the middle of a conversation. Sometimes these ideas come at the most inconvenient times. So I get that it's not always easy to write them down. But how many times have you come up with an amazing idea and you said, oh my gosh, that's great. I'll remember that because it's so great. And then you come back to it later and realize it has disappeared into the ether. Whether you like it or not, if you do not write down or capture your ideas, they oftentimes disappear. I didn't capture my ideas because I didn't think that they were valuable enough to be written down. But some of the dumbest ideas that you think in the moment are dumb ideas end up being really brilliant ideas. Or sometimes they just need to be workshopped, or maybe they need to be paired up with another idea. If you have an idea, write it down, capture it, value your ideas enough to capture them. I cannot stress this enough. It has been a game changer for me. Now, let's say you have a brilliant idea, and now you're valuing your ideas enough to capture them, but you don't know where or how. I will tell you what I do. I have a catch-all notebook. I cannot tell you how many organizational planners and journals and all those things I started, and I tried to have this system of I'm going to keep these ideas here and these ideas here. And what has worked best for me is to have a catch-all notebook that I can just write down without any filtering what comes. And there is no organization to it. It's a complete mess. But I know that if I write it down, I will be able to find it in that notebook. Here was my notebook from 2023, okay? And if you look, I mean, it's just, it's messy, okay? It's messy. I've got ideas for YouTube in here. I've got Patreon, I've got grocery lists, I've got stuff for who knows what in here, and it's okay. It's okay. It's all over the place. And the reason while I'm okay with that is because I just needed to quickly grab something to start writing down my ideas. If I'm in an inconvenient location, then sometimes that looks like texting myself or doing a note in my notes app or recording a voice memo. There are numerous ways that you can capture your ideas. And I need you to hear this. This part can be messy. So many times in so many of our processes as creatives, we try to filter too soon. We try to organize too soon. And that oftentimes gets in the way of our creative flow, of that natural creative energy. That's why I always suggest to just write it down, let it be messy. It's okay if it's in 5 different locations. As long as you know where they are, that's okay. So you need to value your idea and then you need to capture it. I don't care if it's messy. I don't care if it looks gross. Value it enough to capture that idea. After all that, I try to, and honestly, this is a step that I could be a lot better at. I try to schedule a time to come back and kind of gather all of those ideas and rewrite them, transpose them. A lot of times, my ideas, specifically around what I'm going to post online, my YouTube videos, my podcasts, Instagram threads, all of those things are kind of scattered all over the place. And I gather those and I put it in a Google Doc and put that into my new content strategy. I have that video linked above if you want more information or to see me fumble through that new content strategy. This could be a weekly habit, a daily habit, a monthly habit. You just need to figure out what works well for you, but schedule a time to really sit with your ideas and kind of pull them from all the different locations and either rewrite them down or transpose them into whatever notebook or organizational system you prefer. For me, I like to rewrite them one more time. It's just a way for me to solidify some ideas in my memory. It's a way for me to kind of work out some more of those ideas. Value your ideas, capture your ideas, schedule a time to come back to your ideas and pull them into one location. Now, when it comes down to the nitty gritty organizing of ideas, this part I reserve for phase 3 in my Sidequesters strategy guide. This used to be what I called the idea management system or the idea crafting wheel. I just changed the name. It's a long story. Listen to my latest podcast if you want to hear more about that. The Sidequesters Strategy Guide is a 6-phase flexible framework that helps creatives take their ideas from thought into action in a way that is going to support you and not feel like hustling. This whole system draws inspiration from my favorite video game, Skyrim, and the idea of the crafting forge and the skill trees, okay? Again, if you want to deep dive into this system, I encourage you to hop on over and follow my podcast, which we will be spending the whole first season deep diving into this flexible framework. For now, what you need to know is when it comes to actually organizing my ideas, I move into phase 3, which is store. This phase is when we really start filtering our ideas. I like to call them no ideas, now ideas, or not now ideas. I think you'll know what no ideas are. As a creative, there are plenty of ideas we come up with that we think, yeah, I'm never going to do this. This is probably for somebody else. I just think it's a cool idea. The really important ones to figure out is what is a now idea and a not now idea. How many times have you thought of an idea and you start pursuing it and you realize, I do not have the time, I do not have the resources, and I do not have the capacity to pursue this? This has happened to me multiple times where I start out on an idea and I realize this is a not now idea. This is a great idea. This is an idea I'm going to pursue, but this is a not now idea. I'm going to do a video on that later. For now, just know this is how I start organizing my ideas. I start thinking about what ideas are not now ideas and what ideas are now ideas. My not now ideas, I'm going to archive right? Because we've written them down, we won't lose them. I'm going to archive them. I'm going to keep them there, and I'm just going to say, hey, we're going to come back to you later. Once I have filtered out my not now ideas, I'm going to come back to my now ideas. These are ideas that I think, hey, maybe I have the time, the resources, and the capacity and the passion to pursue this. Once I have that list of ideas, potential now ideas, I do another layer of filtering. Now I'm going to group them based on similar ideas. This is what I call idea synchronicity. Sometimes I might have 10 ideas that could be simplified into 3 major ideas with multiple parts or multiple phases or multiple seasons. I'll give you an example of this. With this new shift of moving away from just being on Instagram and pursuing different platforms that were better for long form content, I knew I wanted to do Patreon, and I knew I wanted to do Discord and Twitch and YouTube and podcasting and blogging and threads. I had all of these ideas, and it was a lot. It was a lot. And in my head, I was thinking, there's no way I'm going to be able to do all of this. But also, as a multi-passionate, I was thinking, I want to do all of these things. This is when I started grouping similar ideas. This is honestly where my content strategy came from. Instead of seeing each one of these as separate, different ideas, I thought, how can I string all of these things together? That's why I started with a long form content blog, something where I could get out my overarching idea into a longer form, which then became the script for my podcasts and YouTube videos, and then filtered down into content for Instagram, Patreon, and the like. I'll show you what this looks like. At one point, these were literally all different ideas floating separately. Okay? So all of these ideas now link together. I know you can't see all of it, but all of these ideas, they now link together. Idea synchronicity. It's actually a web of ideas. So as I work in this area, it affects this other area. And when I'm working on the overarching idea, the overarching thing I'm passionate about, which is being a multi-passionate, sharing my journey, fumbling through my processes, my systems, all of these new things, I'm fumbling so you can see that, hey, it doesn't have to be perfect the first time, and we're going to learn together. And if you need to see somebody else go first, I will be that person. My YouTube channel now syncs with my podcast, which syncs with my Patreon, which syncs with my blog, Instagram, threads, all of that goes together. But it also gives me the flexibility to shift and change, throw something in there I wasn't planning, pull back on something that actually doesn't resonate. It's a web of ideas. Idea synchronicity. And that, my friends, is the brief rundown of how I organize my ideas. This is phase 3 in my overarching flexible framework and system for multi-passionates. If you want to know the whole thing from top to bottom, which I think you will be better off for it, in my personal opinion, then I definitely want to plug my podcast, Sidequest of the Week. These are shorter episodes that are going to deep dive into this whole process. And again, you get to retrofit this however you want. I'm just sharing what has worked for me and for other creatives who really struggle with traditional time management and organizational skills. And like Alan and so many of you asked me, how do I organize my ideas? I have no problem coming up with ideas. Maybe you don't even have a problem writing them down. I just don't know how to organize them. This is how I personally organize my ideas. It's not a formula and it's not a perfect system. This is just a suggestion. This is a rhythm that I have begun to incorporate into my life for the last 3 to 4 years, and it's really helped me with idea synchronicity, that web of ideas that I was talking about. And it also helps me remember the ideas that I have. And it also helps me create a steady flow of motivation and turnover of revisiting old ideas, tweaking ideas I'm working on, and also bringing up new ideas. I highly suggest that you check out my podcast. if you want to deep dive into this entire system, because this is just one phase. And this phase has really helped a lot of creatives who struggle with knowing what to do with all of those ideas. What do I do with them? How do I organize them? Let me know in the comments if this was helpful. Let me know if I answered your question. If you have more questions, please drop them and I will hopefully either answer them, and if I don't know how to do it, I will figure it out and film it in front of you. That way you and I can learn together. These have been really great videos, the ones where I'm literally fumbling for an hour in front of you. So if you need me to do more of that, more than happy to do that for you. I've linked anything that I think will be helpful down below in the description, and this was fun. Well, friend, that is it for today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you next time. Bye.